Well, hi. Let's get this back away from you a bit. It's Ken. It's Sunday, May 11th at 2:42 a.m. I'm up late. Up all night almost. Let's see. I'm going to pause this, change my lighting. There. I wanted to be able to keep in the background my penny farthing bike that illustrates that mysteries in today's world are kept from us, and they're also because of lies and misrepresentations and the simple era of lies that we live in today, are complicated. Many spokes, many mitigating circumstances, and connected things to each secret issue or misunderstood issue or hidden issue, like JFK's murder, like the 9/11. Um, Nobody cares, but there's some out there that do. And it's for you, my friends, that I bring this to you. Okay, I just came across this. I watched the first 3 or 4 minutes of it, and I want you to watch this thing uh, on Apophis coming. It's a new voice. This guy seems like he knows what he's talking about. And let's just get started. I can yap through it if I want a little bit. Click. Okay, here it goes. I gotta move me so I can start it. Come on, grab. Here we go.
Good afternoon. On today's Angry Bulletin, we have some new information about Apophis, a new paper that was released discussing the sensitivity of Apophis's 2029 Earth approach and whether or not that approach could turn very, very dangerous as the result of a collision from a small unobserved asteroid sometime between now and then. And we also have another asteroid which demonstrated some very interesting behaviors. A change in trajectory that was...
Now you see what's here up on the left? These things relative to sun. Okay, well, V is obviously velocity. If this is Apophis, and I believe this is about Apophis, it's traveling at 18 thousand kilometers. That would be 1,000 meters per second. That's pretty fast. Period. I would guess that's about when it's going to hit. I say 4 years. I don't know what this means, to be truthful. These are whatever, math things. Okay, let's get on.
Not anticipated, and something that if Apophis does something similar, it could go from an object that's passing uncomfortably close to an object that will create a cataclysm unlike anything else our species has seen in recorded history.
Oh, yeah.
All of this and more coming at you on the Angry Astronaut right now.
Vid.
Good afternoon, and once again, welcome to the Angry Astronaut. I want to be 100% clear on one thing before we go any further. Regardless of the findings of these studies and any sort of unforeseen changes that may happen with Apophis between now and 2029, we need to be very clear that the odds of Apophis striking our planet are still vanishingly small. The point that I have always tried to...
I think he's obliged to say that. Listen, the panic that Apophis, if you believe as I do, and I don't like to set dates, I keep saying I don't. In fact, I hate it. I'm putting myself up there. Whenever you make a date has to do with the rapture or the second coming, you're putting yourself up for ridicule, mockery, and just looking foolish, I guess. But there's too much information for me to say no. I have to remind you real quick that there are two comings, as it's said sometimes, of Christ. First coming is the rapture. He's not coming to earth, but he is coming into the air, and we're going up to meet him up there. That is the one I think we can know. I don't think there's a prohibition where no one knows the day or time, like in Matthew 24. Now, the second coming, I believe that's the prohibition of that no one knows the date or time. And I partially say that because of this new information that Tom Horn and Apophis NASA is bringing. And the Essenes, who wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls, they actually predicted that 2025 would be the last year of this dispensation, though they didn't use the term dispensation. They used era. Let's continue.
Is I think it's extremely irresponsible to rule out the possibility of an impact, to not be prepared in case we see Apophis suddenly approaching us on a much more dangerous trajectory.
Folks, we can't prepare for Apophis to hit. Apophis is Wormwood of Revelation chapter 8, verses 10 and 11. Okay? They're the one and the same thing in my theory, in Tom Horn's theory. I believe him, I believe it's coming, but the destruction off the southern west coast of California, about 300 miles in the Pacific, will be so horribly hard impact, so huge that we are not going to survive. Few people in America will.
And we think it's going to take between now and 2029. To be clear, an asteroid this big and this potentially dangerous has not come this close to our planet, as far as we know, in recorded history. This is the first time something as big as Apophis has come this close. Now, there may have been other asteroids that we are unaware of that may have come even closer, but still, this is a very significant event in the history of astronomy. So once again, let's revisit just how devastating an Apophis strike would actually be. It's not going to be on the same level as the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs, but it's still going to be an earth-changing event.
Yeah.
Something that would change the course.
Yes, like, remember the song? It's the end of the world as we know it. Well, that's what this man is just saying. It'll be earth-changing. Europe and most of Europe and Asia will be okay. Not completely okay because of nuclear winter and dust and things like that falling on them for probably a decade. But North and South American continents, including, of course, Canada, United States, Mexico, and South America, are toast.
Of history for centuries, and I don't think I'm exaggerating there. Let's go ahead and have a look at an Apophis impact. First of all, we're going to go ahead and do the measurements in feet because I'm going to go ahead and have this thing impact inside the United States. Apophis, as you can see, is approximately 1,100 feet long. It is absolutely colossal. And since I just got finished watching a made-for-TV movie from 1978 called A Fire in the Sky, which talked about a cometary fragment that hit just outside of Phoenix, Arizona, actually on the reservation of the Pima Indians, this is going to be the location of this strike. And by the way, if you're willing to watch low-quality video from 1978, that movie actually has some very good science in it. It's a surprisingly accurate movie in many respects. It doesn't have the happiest of endings either. But anyway, let's go ahead and go forward with the strike. Kaboom! this impact is utterly devastating. Only a few thousand people are killed inside the crater because the location of the actual impact is in a relatively sparsely populated region of Arizona. Nevertheless,
Okay, well, I heard the impact will be the Pacific, about 300 miles off the very southern California coast, very close to the big start of the northern border of Mexico.
Creates a crater that will be there for many, many thousands of years to come. We're talking a crater 3.3 miles wide and over 1,600 feet deep, dwarfing the nearby meteor crater, and the energy released would be 2 gigatons of TNT. That's 100,000 Hiroshima bombs. The resulting fireball would kill 1.2 million people and would leave 830,000 survivors with second-degree burns. Not that any of them would have a chance for rescue, because this entire region would be engulfed in a fireball nearly 80 miles in diameter. 4,800 square miles of vegetation would be in flames as a result of this blast. And we're only just getting started. We have to talk about the effects of the pressure wave as well. We're talking a 241 decibel shock wave, which would kill an estimated 75,000 people. In other words, the people who survived the fireball. Approximately 15 miles away, people would receive lung damage, that is to say, if they didn't die from the fireball. 19 miles away, eardrums would be shattered, buildings would collapse within a 33-mile radius of the blast, and homes would collapse within a 45-mile radius of the blast. So again, we're looking at a 90-mile diameter area of utter devastation. And we're still not done, because the resulting windstorms are even worse. The winds at the point of impact are beyond human comprehension. 8,472 mile-an-hour winds, even 10 miles away. The wind forces are stronger than the winds on Jupiter, and far stronger than any wind that's ever been experienced by anybody or anything on this planet in recorded history. Within 29 miles away, all homes would be utterly ripped off their foundations. 48 miles away, you would have all trees completely leveled. So we're looking at a 100-mile diameter region of utter devastation. And of course, all these winds would fan the flames significantly and move all the rubble around quite significantly, and wipe out pretty much all the rest of the survivors, what few remained. Now, of course, some of you are probably thinking that I'm painting a worst-case scenario here because this is a populated region. Well, no, I'm not, because if it were to hit the oceans, about a 70% chance of doing that.
Okay, 70% chance of doing that, okay. Because Neil deGrasse Tyson says that's where it's going to hit.
The resulting tsunami would be around 1,600 feet high, at least in the vicinity of the impact, and the resulting tsunamis would cause worldwide devastation. We actually would hope that the impact would take place somewhere around a city like Phoenix, as opposed to the ocean, which would wreak unbelievable devastation across the globe and substantially worse loss of life than a land impact. To make matters worse, a 2-gigaton explosion would throw a substantial amount of dirt and debris up into the upper atmosphere. Debris that would not clear for a considerable amount of time, and we have some notion of what that might do to the planet, because in 1816, the Mount Tambora explosion, which wasn't 2 gigatons, but still quite powerful, created a massive change in the climate. The year without a summer, as it was called. And it led Lord Byron to write a poem about this cataclysm, and it was a horrible thing indeed. Quote, "The world was void. The populace and the powerful was a lump, seasonless, herbless, treeless, manless, lifeless, a lump of death, a chaos of hard clay."
Well, not counting.
All of this being the case,
Now he's not even mentioning the setting off of Yellowstone caldera.
and it seems that an Apophis impact should be something that we should take very, very seriously, regardless of how unlikely it might be. And fortunately, we're starting to get some scientific papers discussing the possibilities of something unforeseen changing Apophis's track. And the most recent paper that I cited at the beginning of this video, entitled On the Sensitivity of Apophis's 2029 Earth Approach to Small Asteroid Impacts by Paul Weigert and published by the Planetary Science Journal, demonstrates what might happen and the types of scenarios that could
drive into the future with a
Start again.
Turn Apophis from an uncomfortably close asteroid to an absolutely devastating one. And it won't take much, although the odds of something like this happen, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, are vanishingly small. But it would take a single meteoroid, approximately 1 meter in diameter, to hit Apophis at the wrong time, and this impact could have already happened, actually, because we can't see Apophis right now, and that would be enough to knock Apophis from its current trajectory onto a trajectory that would put it on a collision course with Earth. And we will have...
See, this is why I date all my videos. It would be nice if he's saying it, we don't know at this time. Well, what time is it, my friend? Well, we're guessing.
Idea that Apophis is on this collision course until 2027 at the earliest. Now, in most cases, we will be able to tell fairly quickly by 2027 if Apophis has indeed changed its track, and then that would give us about 2 years to try to do something about it, although in my opinion, that's a dangerously small window of opportunity when we consider the potential consequences here. But the paper also discusses certain scenarios whereby the changed trajectory of Apophis may not be immediately apparent to us until it's too late. Also, we need to keep in mind that a slightly larger meteoroid impact with Apophis, say 6 months prior to impact, could also put it on a collision course. The fact that Apophis is passing so incredibly close to our planet during this particular close approach, again, closer than any large asteroid has passed to our planet in recorded history, at least as far as we know, should concern us a lot more, in my opinion, than NASA is currently concerned. There are many things that we need to be preparing for in the event that Apophis isn't approaching us on exactly the trajectory that we anticipate.
Well, I want to remind you, he said Arizona instead of the Pacific Ocean. That's still, remember, the United States, okay? It's going to hit the United States or just off the coast of California in the Pacific Ocean.
Need to have another interceptor ready to knock Apophis off its course if indeed some sort of inopportune meteoroid impact has changed its trajectory. And there are other...
You know what? Katy Perry in the 2015 Super Bowl halftime, dressing up like the Whore of Babylon riding the beast, somehow tells me that's 10 years ago already. That somehow tells me that we're not in God's favor. I think if you're halfway religious, you can reckon on the Lord's not going to move Apophis out of the way. It's going to strike us. And according to Tom Horn and the other true scholars, it will happen in the middle of the 7-year trib. So here we go. I mean, Continue.
Events that can change an asteroid's trajectory substantially. For example, the asteroid 2024 MK, which, by the way, we discovered on June 16th, only 13 days before it made a close approach to Earth at a distance of about 184,000 miles, much closer than Apophis, but still quite close. Well, it turns out that Earth's trajectory changed the course of this asteroid so significantly that an orbital period that
Now, wait a minute. According to Tyson, Apophis is going to be around 22,000 miles above the Earth, not 122,000. So he just said that this one he's talking about will be much closer than Apophis. No.
to be 3.3 years is now down to about 3.2 years. It's going to take 24 fewer days for this asteroid to complete its orbital path than it was before it encountered our planet's gravity, meaning that asteroids are sort of a dynamic phenomena. These are objects that aren't as predictable and do not maintain the same orbits as predictably and as faithfully as planets do, simply because they are so much smaller. And there's something else we need to take into consideration. While we were observing this particular asteroid, we also caught sight of a much larger planet killer, the asteroid 2011 UL-21, which is approximately 2.5 kilometers in diameter and would definitely deliver a civilization-ending cataclysm to our planet if it were to hit us. Now, I'm not suggesting that this asteroid is...
I had a thought. Apparently, I'm trying to follow this guy. We have one that's floating around smaller, that might hit us, smaller, much smaller than Apophis. Well, that would be a wake-up call to humanity, huh? Maybe kill a couple of million people, but still not considered the big one, Apophis, coming. People would get on their knees. And I would call that merciful to the world, even though so many people will die, because so many more people will die when Apophis gets here.
In any way threatening to our planet. It isn't going to come anywhere near us anytime soon, but at the same time, during this observational period when it did make a close encounter, we noticed that it happened to have a secret moon hiding in its orbit.
Wow.
And even though this moon is quite tiny, its gravity will have an impact on the path of this asteroid as time goes on. What if Apophis has a moon that we haven't observed yet? And what if that moon were to have an impact just from the tiny influence of its gravity to change its course even a little bit? Once again, we're looking at a potential collision from something that we haven't been able to see yet. And in case you think that the gravity of a tiny moon wouldn't have any impact on the path of a large asteroid whatsoever, that's actually the method, one of the methods anyway, that we have in mind to use to change the course of an asteroid. A mere 20-ton spacecraft traveling in close proximity to an asteroid. Just the gravity pull of a 20-ton object would be enough to change its course. Not by a lot, but enough. If you did it early enough ahead of time, years before an impact, it would be enough to change the course of even an object as large as Apophis and change an impact to a near miss. So what's the point I'm trying to make here, and the point that I've been trying to make in all of these videos? Well, when you're talking about an object as dangerous as Apophis, an object that's passing as close to our planet as Apophis is, it's way too early to talk about ruling out the possibility of impacts, in my opinion. Entirely too many things could happen to Apophis between now and 2029 to be that comfortable when we're talking about an object this incredibly dangerous. We need to be well prepared, perhaps having our own gravity tractor spacecraft ready to go by 2027.
There is a joker in the deck here, guys. Something most people, even religious people, don't really are cognizant of. Satan hates humanity. Okay, and I believe that there is a rank echelon of rank in the dark universe, in starting with Lucifer at the top on Earth, and is the Illuminati, his body of Lucifer, as we have the body of Christ, the ones that do and can get things done, and they rule the world. And Apophis would be a nice eliminator of a nice chunk of humanity. And then we have, of course, the Georgia Guidestones. It says to maintain its first law, its first commandment is to maintain humanity's numbers on Earth to 500 million. Well, where's the other 7.5 billion? Okay, since we're going to be at 8 billion if we're not already. So let's remember, they may not be doing anything about it to push it. Okay? Satan would love to take a hit, humanity to take such a hit.
Or just prep a new DART mission and put it in Earth orbit, or preferably in lunar orbit, where it doesn't have to overcome nearly as much gravity to close in on its target. Something that would deflect an unforeseen danger to our planet on short notice, as opposed to just hoping that our current calculations are correct and that we've seen every potential threat to our planet before those threats manifest themselves in a horrible way. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'd like to welcome Daniel Price and Sneaky Squid, our latest Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for helping me out. You guys make all the difference to my channel and my ability to keep putting out this content. And if you'd like to join this growing family of Patreon supporters, all the details are in the description. Thanks again.
Well, okay. Something new. Something added. You don't forget about Satan wanting humanity ended. And what he can't kill, he wants to change through DNA. That's called Humanity 2.0, referred to. Why? Because Christ is our humanity's kinsman redeemer. He died only for mankind. The kind of lineage that goes back to Adam and Eve. Many times in the past, Lucifer has tried to make extinct humanity. And through DNA and through an inundation of unlawful inundation of angelic or other DNA. So you out there that are saved, we're not going to be here for all this happy stuff. You who are not saved, ask Christ to forgive you of your sins. And believe that just for the asking and the fact that he paid his life on the cross for you and for your sins, and he rose again from the dead. If you ask him, he'll forgive you forever, and that'll be once is all you need. One time believing it's done forever, you're born again. You're going in the rapture that's coming this October, in my opinion. And saved people, talk to people. Come on. You love them. They need you. They love you. You've got salvation in words, in the message of the gospel. Do it. Use it. Okay, with that, I'll say good night. And so, good night.